What is the fastest way you have seen someone ruin their life? It took 4 hours. He woke up, murdered his grandparents in their sleep, stole all of the firearms in the house and his grandfather's truck, and fled. I grew up with this dude. He was a genuinely good person. We were friends all of elementary school and most of middle school. He was an amazing friend and always knew how to help someone. But he had a lot of mental health issues, and his religious family believed it was just possession by demons and whatnot. Recently his actual hearing was done, and you could tell how far off the deep end he had gotten. Smiling the whole time they described what he did, laughed when they sentenced him, and had to be dragged out laughing like a lunatic saying, "It's over, Grandpa. It's over." It was during the court trials that we found out his grandparents were apparently sexually abusing him, something the rest of the family seemingly knew quite well but ignored, and they'd refused to let him leave the house despite him being in his 20s and a legal adult. They isolated him from the world, told him he was possessed by demons, and let his grandparents molest him repeatedly without intervention. I'm honestly not even surprised he did it, I'm just sad it went down the way it did. My sister started doing meth and heroin. She went from super smart to completely dumb. By the age of 19 she was already a felon. No one in the family wants to help her anymore cause each time we tried, either sending her to rehab or tried getting her sober, she would just go back to it. Was supposed to go to college but now she's 22 and stays at different people's houses and begs people for money. Completely cut me and everyone else off from her cause. She thinks us trying to help her is us being jealous and not wanting her to be happy in life. My first girlfriend was the same kind of hopeless addict. She was really smart in general, but really stupid with drugs. Eventually, she started doing nitrous and fried her brain. I talked to her a while back, and it was really like she was having a completely different conversation. Totally incoherent. Talked about the ghosts of living celebrities attacking her through her TV. In retrospect, breaking up with me was probably the kindest thing she ever did for me. Dude I know won a $3 million settlement from being hit by a car. Spent it all on heroin and was dead within 3 years. Under 30 years old. Edit, wow, this really blew up. To answer some of the questions I see in the thread, I don't think he got hooked on opioids due to the accident. This guy did a lot of weed and shrooms and occasionally coke even before the settlement. The money just allowed him to graduate to heroin. How'd he spend all that money? Sadly, he had a bunch of addict friends who he enabled. He'd treat them to free heroin at these lavish parties. The construction to amphetamines pipeline. I've seen 2 very good and competent men fall to absolute ruin in the space of 4 months because of this. I used to be an unloader/lumper, same exact thing. When I first started there, the place was an absolute drug den. Amphetamines, opiates, hotboxing in a van on every break. Hell, I used to take Adderall to bust some extra trucks out. I also used to take psychedelics every once in a blue moon just for fun. Glad I got out of that shit. I watched this clip on Reddit where these 2 kids were posing with a gun. The girl in the video accidentally shot the boy in the head. She panicked and shot herself. That shit changed me, it all happened so fast. I don't think the clip was longer than 30 seconds. I remember scrolling through Twitter and that video popped up. It happened so quickly and they were live streaming. Not only does their family have to deal with her killing her cousin then herself, but that video will live on the internet forever. I think about them all the time. 15 to 20 years ago, an ex worked at a dream job type of place. If you make it professionally in that field, this employer was / is the absolute peak, there is no better place to go. New guy started there, on ex's team, right out of university. His first day he went to the company store and got all the gear with company's name on it, t-shirt, hat, socks, etc. and proudly put it all on. After work, team took the new guy out to drinks to celebrate his first day at dream job employer. New guy gets way too drunk, goes outside to smoke a cig, and then takes his penis out and presses it up against the bar's glass window. Penis man's new colleagues, all the bar's patrons, and all their staff see his dick. Ex closed out their tab and got drunk guy home. The bar calls the employer the next morning, complaining about the new guy's dick antics, banning him and anyone wearing company gear. New guy was fired before lunch, on day 2. A cautionary story. Edit, the bar was in a never gentrified, always wealthy part of San Francisco, California. Patrons were very wealthy people, entitled. Myself, having worked in fine dining in college, I can only imagine the absolute hell those patrons raised about seeing some dipshit's dick while slurping down their third martini. Many of you relate to this story, and have shared about not even wearing something as small as a lanyard with company info on it. This is all great logic, Please keep it up and share that advice. It is especially pertinent when your employer, like the subject of my story, is known globally for children's entertainment. Exposing yourself to anyone, let alone a bunch of connected, rich assholes, is definitely not the move when Pixar signs your check. A coworker sent an explicit text to a new hire using the company comms system. She pretended to be interested and then reported him, with a very long thread as proof. Dude was married, with kids, a supervisor. Now divorced, kids hate him, works a low-level job. I knew a guy just like that. Had a really well-paying job. Didn't do anything all day at said job. Always talked about how he was hot shit in high school, but he's now over 30 with a wife and 2 kids. Then there was this new hire at the job. A younger woman in her very early 20s. They had some extramarital encounters, but turned out he was a giant asshole, who would have thought from a guy that peaked in high school. They got into a spat at work, and she ran to the HR department and showed everyone the disturbing messages he has been leaving on her phone alongside some dick pics. Last I heard was he got fired, but still came back the next day and chilled in the lunchroom all day. When the boss heard of this weird development, he called the police, but the guy was long gone before the police got there. A high school friend drove drunk and killed the local doctor of a small town. Last I heard, he was still in prison. High school student, graduated at the time, drove a classmate of mine home from prom, crashed and killed classmate. Driver becomes a paraplegic, goes to prison. Gets out, driving disability modded van, gets in another accident, and kills another woman passenger. Second one was a DUI, he was at fault for the first bit but I'm unsure if it was a DUI too. Watched a buddy spend his entire life savings betting on the Paulo Costa versus Adesanya. I begged him not to do it and he lost his and his wife's entire $60K nest egg. She left him immediately with the kids and now he lives at his mom's house. Edit, wow, this blew up. So a little more backstory. He had been betting on prize fighting for a short while and winning. Nothing outrageous and heck I even bet with him on a time or two because it was smaller bets 1 to 200. He had been winning, probably made a few grand, not sure how much, but he was always saying he won and showing off his bets. So I can confirm he had been winning and his luck was pretty impressive. As far as I know he doesn't gamble anymore and is just trying to rebuild his life. He lost his wife but does spend a lot time with the kids. In Germany, there was a contestant on the show Wetten Das, translated as Bet That, a few years ago. In the show, statements about crazy talents and activities were presented by the participants. The contestants bet on things they could do and get a prize if they could actually perform the self-proclaimed tasks/talents. One participant bet that he would be able to jump over moving cars. It went wrong and he was left a paraplegic. He has since largely recovered, psychological, not physical, and is handling it great as far as the public is concerned, but the situation will probably always stick in my mind. My father-in-law is 65. Was married to his wife for 37 years and has 3 daughters. The picture-perfect family from the outside looking in. He was well respected in his career field and was also an interim pastor/deacon at our local church. After he retired, his health started to deteriorate drastically and he started drinking. This past November we learned that he had fell for a love scam on Facebook and had spent his entire life savings, took out a second mortgage on his home, and opened up numerous credit cards to send this fake person money. All in all, he sent them roughly $300,000. He was truly convinced she was going to move here from overseas and they were going to ride off into the sunset, leave everything behind, and live happily ever after. Now he is divorced, lives in a crummy apartment about 45 minutes from his family, and is miserable. He can barely walk and has essentially zero control over his bowel movements. To make matters worse, he has very narcissistic tendencies and thinks that none of it is his fault, and instead blames his ex-wife, claiming that she didn't love him and show him any affection. As you can imagine, this has affected my wife, her sisters, and mother immensely, and caused all sorts of problems and stress over the last 8 months. But long story short, he lost everything. His assets, his family, his health, and happiness. I would be shocked if he's even alive a year from now. When parents get older, you've got to watch them. I know it's tough. Real tough. I should note I got totally lucky in my situation. It wasn't like I was doing some great planning as a son. Just knowing what I know now, I'd recommend for adult children to monitor their parents' activities. There's all sorts of scam artists who prey on the elderly. My elderly mom was in the process of selling a rental house she had for $14,000. I heard her side of the call. I took the phone from her and started asking questions. The lady obviously didn't want to talk to me. Again, I was totally lucky to be in the right spot to hear that call. That's a 1 in a 1,000 piece of luck. That wasn't good planning on my part. After that though, it was time to go through her credit cards. She had all kinds of WTF charges on there. She had 4 or 5 of those medical alert thingies. Those were about $50 per month each. That's $200 per month for something she doesn't even know where they're at. There's a bunch of other stuff also. Various charities, scams, and whatnot. Once you get on a list, all sorts of these places call you. Obviously, being able to do something like this will depend on what type of relationship you have with your folks. My mom was agreeable to the help. Had she not been, it would have been much more difficult. My cousin, 18 female, finished her senior year early, so she was basically just waiting for May to do the graduation and get her diploma. She worked at a lake restaurant and had started hanging out with a bad crowd. At this time she had been smoking a lot of weed and drinking, as well as just being generally reckless all the time. She was my best friend, so she texted me to tell me about everything she did basically. One night she texted me to tell me that she had tried meth and it was the best high of her life, but she will never do it again. Exactly 1 month after that text she overdosed and died. They put her portrait in her graduation seat and her dad got to walk and pick up her diploma. I posted this once before. I had a friend that had a promising career got upset and went into full road rage for a woman who forgot to turn her blinker on, and he slightly bumped her back bumper on the freeway, causing her to lose control and flipping over and killing the driver and her 2 daughters. Oddly, it was all caught on his car dash cam and a trucker with his own dash cam that was behind him. He is now doing 40+ years in prison. Post update: I wasn't expecting much attention on this story. Additional details that people keep asking me. I can't say we were close friend or good friends. We hung out during high school years. I may have seen him a couple times afterwards. He moved out of state. Most information I got was from his sister. I do know that he is in jail for what he did. Now I'm not sure if his sister is not giving me the full story, but I do know he definitely received high jail sentence. I know he went to college for marketing. I believe he was interning for high-end sports marketing company. A close friend of my best friend grabbed his 8-year-old son's new skateboard and took off down a hill in Georgia. Hit a rock, landed on his head and had permanent brain damage. He lived years before he mercifully died. Had to be restrained the whole time because the damage made him erratic and violent. Wear a helmet. Crime, specifically felonies. My lawyer took out a loan forging my signature. He's doing 15 years in federal prison. I would have given him the $5,000. His kid was very sick and I would have gladly helped him out. Well, that sucks. It does. His beautiful child had a brain tumor and I would have given him my settlement. Such a shame and a waste. I testified against him in court, but there were no hard feelings. I understood what he was doing, but he did it the wrong way and broke the law and my trust. Do you know what happened to the child? I do not, but I heard she had surgery from one of the other victims testifying. Watched a guy gamble $30,000 away in a night and then cried about losing his life savings. Security had to get involved and escort him out because he started to get angry at the dealers because all they could offer him was free night stays at the hotel for playing so much, but he wanted free play at the tables/slots and they refused. My parents taught me a very important lesson about gambling. Never treat it as a way to make money, but only as a form of entertainment. Before you start, budget what you are willing to lose and consider that the price for a night of entertainment, because more than likely you will lose. Bring enough extra cash for some food and drinks, leave credit and debit cards at home. Also important, set a walk away amount if you are winning, and if you hit that number, walk away, as Kenny Rogers says in The Gambler. I have seen people I know go from being way up at the casino, to hitting the ATM multiple times and crying by the end of the night. Edit. Also, I'll never forget a time when I was around 13 or 14. I went with my dad to a restaurant that was located right outside a casino. As we were waiting to get in, this older guy was coming out of the casino. As he was walking past us with this incredibly defeated look on his face, he turns to me and says, "Kid, don't even look in there, that place will ruin you." He wasn't joking either, he was dead serious. I felt really bad for him. You just knew he had a major problem. Who knows how much money he'd lost over time gambling. A senior girl from my college pushed another girl she was friends with off a 30-foot bridge into water as a joke, broke her neck and collarbone, and she's permanently in a wheelchair. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up while I was asleep. I'll answer some questions. 1. I got feet and meters mixed up, only around 30-foot drop. 2. 2 days in hospital for her friend, 2 days in jail for the girl who pushed her. She spent the same time in jail as the victim spent in hospital. It's fucked up. 3. The parents of the victim chose not to press charges. That's tragic. I have a friend who, when he was in high school, was out at the river drinking with friends and jumping in the water with a rope swing under a bridge. My friend tried using the rope swing, but fell off at a weird angle and ended up breaking his neck. All his buddies didn't want to get in MIP, so they bailed and just left him there until some older woman happened to find him while she was walking around. He recovered mostly fine and doesn't have any lasting injuries minus some stiffness here and there, but damn man, could you imagine receiving a potentially life-altering injury and all your friends just bail? That right there would be enough to send me into a bout of depression. Have a friend who had a drinking problem and got into an argument with a gas station worker while drunk. The worker tried stopping his car by standing in front of it and my friend ran him over and killed him. Wife, career, freedom, everything lost. Bar fights. Heard a loud commotion for about 30 seconds. Some guy thought this guy was hitting on his date. Sucker punched him. The other guy fell down and clipped the bar. The bar had brass footrest at the base. Snapped the guy's neck so loud you could hear it across the room. This is scary to think about. Had a classmate die like this. Some guy in a bar mistakenly thought my classmate was hitting on his girlfriend. Bar fight ensues, a different classmate who just happened to be there ends up getting sucker punched and beaten while he is down. Ended up brain dead, donated his organs. We were months away from graduating medical school. I'm a lawyer. Another well-respected lawyer in my jurisdiction was involved in an absolutely huge property settlement involving dozens upon dozens of deeds, side agreements, financial documents, yada yada yada. The whole lot, presumably involving literally 100 or so signatures, had been signed off by her client. In the early hours of the morning, having no doubt slaved away for untold hours getting everything ready for the settlement the next day, she must have realized that she had missed getting one signature on one minor document from her client, so she faked it. I can see the pressure she was under and how she probably thought it doesn't matter. My client would have signed it anyway and only didn't because they overlooked it. No one will ever notice. Someone noticed and she went from high-paid property lawyer to never being able to practice again, just like that. People occasionally ask me to sign things off, as a lawyer, and suggest I overlook minor irregularities such as wanting me to witness a signature even though I didn't actually see the signatory sign. Then they get all offended and act like I'm being a stick-up-the-ass perfectionist when I won't do it. Former friend of mine was arrested for soliciting an 11-year-old for sexual favors online and traveling across state to meet her. I never expected him to do that. His girlfriend at the time asked if I wanted to be a character witness and I noped out before she finished her sentence. Judge made an example out of him and sentenced him to life. Apparently it wasn't his first SA offense. I can't believe she even stuck around to even consider looking for people to testify on his behalf. He got the girl to do stuff to him in his car. He was only caught after her friend saw pictures of her boyfriend and realized he was way too old to be an 11-year-old boyfriend and told the girl's mother. He was 31 when he was sentenced. Colleague starts out great at new job, gets through probation, then gets out of control drunk at a company party. She makes out with the boss's date and hooks up with another colleague while her husband is there. Fast forward, she's dating this colleague now and their relationship is causing disciplinary measures at work. They decide to double down and sign a new lease together anyways. She then lies about getting poached by a customer to leverage a raise, and when it doesn't work she actually has to quit. Her boyfriend then follows suit by not showing up and ghosting the company. Now he's a stay-at-home stepdad. Oh, did I mention she has 3 kids? After being with this girl for 6 months and they both don't have a job. Kind of a 2-for-1. Girl's divorce sent her into a manic episode. Her friends understood, but she lost her medical license, that she had less than a year, because she posted patient information on social media. She lost her job, which made her lose her home. She decided to stay in nice hotels, from the mania, and was in debt by the end of 2 weeks. A coach at the school I worked at lead the boys basketball team to state and was awarded Coach of the Year. Comments on the post about his award started filling up with sexual assault accusations from former students. Obviously an investigation was immediately launched and he shot himself in the head by the end of the week. Literally went from being awarded and praised to dead by suicide within days. Left behind a wife and 2 young kids. My husband had a nice job as a high-level retail manager, before his store closed. He became a lead for less cash in an inventory company. He was generally considered to be a nice, but quiet. You'd see more of his personality when he was working on computers, self-taught, or video games or pool. General consensus was that he was a good guy always ready to game with the kids. Less than a month after our 6th anniversary, I found a video on our tablet from a hidden camera in our bathroom that showed my 14-year-old niece nude. It looked like he kept the image on the cloud and would add it to whatever device he was using and then delete it. He just missed that last step. I called the police immediately and he never came home again. They found more images on his computer and a 20-minute video, full front view of his face, as he tries to hide the camera. He pleaded guilty and received 40 years with 34 suspended sentence. He will have to register as a sex offender and has some pretty stiff rules to follow: no alcohol, no items that can connect to the internet unless he pays for a company to put monitoring software on every internet accessible device. The day I found it, I sent him to work with a kiss. I found the images around 11:30 a.m. and had surrendered the tablet and gotten the case started with the police by 11:45. I have told every relationship I've been in, husband included, that things like this will be the one thing that will make me walk away and never look back. He truly thought I would never leave him and was all surprised Pikachu face when I kept my promise. His actions caused him to lose everything he took for granted that he would always. Our daughter was 5, then, and for her he just disappeared one day. Now, I am watching her grow and mature into a beautiful person and he doesn't get the privilege of even knowing this beautiful child. I'm sure that separation has hurt him a lot, but you don't get trusted with any child, even your own, after you do something like that. Good riddance.